Why, hello there. Hi, my name is John Green. Welcome to Crash Course U.S. History, hence the flag. And today we're going to be talking about the Great Depression and the New Deal. This includes everything from 1929 to 1939. It's like the stock market crash, the election of a new president, and all the acts that came about. Mr. Green! Wasn't America pretty much dead because of the Great Depression? No, me of the past. See, America always has a way of getting money and always putting itself into citizens in debt. Take me and my college debt, for example, that I'm still paying for the last 30 years. Thanks, America. Stock market crash. On October 29, 1929, 60 million shares were traded by investors in one single day, now being known as Black Tuesday. Soon enough, though, investors collapsed and industrial companies fell. America and the people felt the effects of the economic crash that lasted for quite some time, from 1929 to 1939. But this banks soon foreclosed, which left many folks pondering what was next. Soon enough, though, the crash would be noticeable growing as people became laid off because businesses took major hits. So the rules are simple. I have to give it a passage, and I have to guess the author. I get it right, I don't get shocked. If I get it wrong, I get shocked with this pen right here. Let's go. We are now speeding down the road of wasteful spending and debt, and unless we can escape, we will be smashed into inflation. Oh wow, this is deep. Some U.S. President. FDR? No. Well, here goes nothing. Alright, just got my mystery pen. Sorry, not my mystery pen, a shock pen. Ready to get my ass shocked right now. I think I broke my legs. Alright, so let's go to the causes of the Great Depression. Several economic scholars debate the real reasons for the cause of the economic depression. Although assumed so, the stock market crash was not the only cause of the depression. Let's also look at some theories. First, Keynesian institutional economists argue that depression was caused by a widespread lack of confidence that led to underconsumption. Financial crisis following the 1929 crash led to a sudden and persistent reduction in consumption and investment spending. Second, monetarists believe that the Great Depression started as an ordinary recession, but significant policy mistakes by authorities caused a shrinking amount of money supply, which greatly disrupted the economic situation, causing a minor recession to the Great Depression. Other theories that argue the various labor market policies that imposed at the start caused length and severity of the Great Depression. Hoovervilles. They were shanty towns built by homeless people for the homeless people. Hoovervilles were named after President Herbert Hoover as a way to blame him for the distress and chaos of the economic collapse. Hundreds of Hoovervilles were built across the country, housing World War I veterans, hungry families, and other members of poverty. Due to ineffectiveness and assertiveness to provide for the people, Hoover was seen as a major blame for the situation. Even though it wasn't necessarily his fault, he's not on the government. This does not help Hoover later. Hawley-Smoot Tariff of 1930. Signed into law on June 17, 1930, the Hawley-Smoot Tariff was an act sponsored by Senator Reed Smoot and Representative Willis C. Hawley. This raised the tariffs on over 20,000 imported goods to record levels. Some viewed this act as a plan for reducing American exports and imports by more than half. Economics generally agree that the tariff was counterproductive and contributed to the effects of the Depression. Wah, 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 wah. Bonus Army. The Bonus Army, led by former Army Sergeant Walter W. Waters, is a popular name of assemblage of some 43,000 marchers consisting of 17,000 World War I veterans. My goodness! Along with their families and affiliated groups who gathered in Washington, D.C. in the spring and summer of 1932 to demand cash payment redemption of the service certificates. Yes. Many of the war veterans have been out of work since the beginning of the Great Depression. A second smaller bonus march in 1933 at the start of the Roosevelt administration was diffused in May with an offer of jobs for the Civilian Conservation Troops Corps at Fort Hunt, Virginia, which most of the group accepted. The United States Army stepped in, 500 infantry, cavalry, 6 FT tanks, and 800 police officers. In the end, there were 2 dead and 1,017 in the Bonus Army, and at least 69 police injured from the United States Army. My God. Miss Green, did you say 69? Oh, me of the past. You see, this is why people didn't like you. Reconstruction Finance Corporation, the RFC, functioning from 1932 to 1957, was a government corporation offered financial aid to state governments. The establishment for the RFC was set up by the U.S. Congress on January 22, 1932, while Hoover was president. The creation of this source basically covered the limited options the Federal Reserve had. The Reconstruction Finance Corporation made loans to banks, railroad companies, and businesses. The main objective for the RFC was for banks to stabilize and install confidence for people to bank. The government corporation aided state and local $2 billion, and in the end, most loans were repaid. President Franklin Roosevelt, my favorite president, commonly known as FDR, second president of the United States of America. He was born in 1822 to an old prominent Dutch family from upstate New York and attended elite schools like Groton School and Harvard. As a Democrat, he won record 4 elections and served from March 1933 to his death in April 1945. He was a central figure in world events during the mid-20th century, leading the United States during a time of worldwide economic depression and total war. His program for relief, recovery, and reform, known as the New Deal, involved the great expansion of the role of the federal government and the economy. Dominant leader of the Democratic Party, he built the New Deal coalition and united labor unions, big city machines for white ethnics, African Americans like me. Oh wait, I'm John Green, I'm white. Shit. and rural rights owners. The coalition realigned American politics after 1932, creating a fifth party system and defining American liberalism for the middle third of the 20th century. Roosevelt served and held seriously declined during World War II. Sadly, he died 3 months into his fourth term and is ranked one of the top 3 presidents alongside Abraham Lincoln and George Washington. Sam, cue the Libertage. The New Deal. The New Deal was constructed from 1933 to 1938 and was generated as programs for relief, reform, and recovery from the Great Depression. FDR made the concerning topic of the economy clear for hundreds of thousands of Americans. This economy collapse was seen as an enemy and a dark times to set alight for sunlight. Succession was made to the Democratic Party standoff in 1933 to 1969. See, sunlight is always good. When FDR came, he saved the day. Just like Superman flying in. Who doesn't love FDR? The Brain Trust was gathered by FDR. Intellectual advisors set up in 1932 the presidential campaign, and the group that aided FDR was Ramon Moley, Rexford Guy Tugwell, excuse me, my French is bad, Adolph A. Burl, J.R. Basil, Jr., Adolph A. Burl Jr., Basil Doc O'Connor, Samuel I. Roseman, and Hugh Johnson. They were used in the government for economic planning that would in turn create the foundation for the New Deal. During the first 100 days, the group created 15 laws. An important one was the Banking Act of 1933, which sought to despair banking. The 100 days, 100, not 300. Sorry, Waka Flocka. 100 days is a measurement of the first 100 days for a term of president. From this to making feats of success in the early stage of the president's term. During the first 100 days in the FDR, he tried to get American people jobs, protect savings, and make more opportunities. Help out the elderly and ill, and make sure agriculture and industry are stable. Banking Holiday / the Banking Relief Act. The Emergency Banking Relief Act was an act passed by the United States Congress in 1933 in an attempt to stabilize the banking system. Beginning on February 14th, Michigan, which had been hit particularly hard by the Great Depression, declared an 8-day bank holiday. Within a week, 36 other states held their own bank holidays in an attempt to save the bank runs. Following his inauguration in March 1933, FDR set out to rebuild confidence in the nation's banking system, first declaring a 4-day banking holiday that shut down the banking system, including the Federal Reserve. Hot damn. First New Deal programs, the NRA, AAA, TVA, CCC, FERA, PWA, and FDIC. National Recovery Administration, NRA, was a prime New Deal agency established by FDR in 1933. The goal was to eliminate cutthroat competition by bringing industry, labor, and government together to create codes of fair practices and set prices. The Agricultural Adjustment Act, AAA, reduced agricultural production by paying farmers subsidies not to plant on part of their land and to kill off excessive livestock. Damn. Its purpose was to reduce crop surplus and therefore effectively raise the value of crops. So much of the value of life, how about the value of crops? The money for these subsidies was generated through an exclusive tax on companies which process farm products. Tennessee Valley Authority, TVA, was established by Congress to address economic and environmental issues, including the delivery of low-cost electricity and management of natural resources. The Civilian Conservation Corps, CCC, was a public works project intended to promote environmental conservation and to build good citizens through vigorous, disciplined, outdoor labor. Its operation under the Army's control. Camp commanders had disciplinary powers, and corpsmen were required to address superiors by Sir. Sir? From now on, I'm Sir Green, not Mr. Green. By September 1935, over 500,000 young men had lived in CCC camps, mostly staying from 6 months to a year. The Federal Emergency Relief Administration, FERA, I like to call it FERA, not Farah Tor from Mortal Kombat X, FERA, FERA, calm down, fans. Under Hoover, gave loans to the states of operate relief programs. Its main goal was alleviating household unemployment by creating new and skilled jobs in local and state government. The Public Works Administration, PWA, built large-scale public works such as dams, bridges, hospitals, and schools. The PWA spent over $6 billion in contracts to private construction firms that did the actual work. It created an infrastructure that generated national and local pride in the 1930s and remains vital 70 years later. Federal Deposit Insurance Company, FDIC, don't say FDIC, please. Preserved and promoted public confidence in the U.S. financial system by ensuring deposits in banks and thrift institutions for at least $250,000. My parents don't even make that much, damn it. By identifying, monitoring, and addressing risks to deposit insurance funds, thereby limiting the effect on the economy and the financial system when a bank or thrift institution fails. I wish I could make $250,000. This thing called a lotto, but there's also a thing called taxes. Lesson for Americans. Second New Deal programs, we got the SSA, WPA, the Wagner Act, the Fair Labor Standards Act. The Fair Labor Standard Act was created in 1938. This act made the 40-hour work week the minimum age in place, as well as minors could not work. If they had to, they would not have to work around dangerous areas and with limited hours due to educational reasons. The Wagner Act allowed workers to enter unions with necessary rights. I like that. Thank you, Wagner. On top of that, there are bargaining options concerning strikes and better wages and even better areas to work with. Who doesn't like this? The Works Progress Administration provided millions of jobs in the public system. The local environment demanded public protests be conducted. The job field administered road projects as well as construction planning. Lastly, the Social Security Act was signed by Franklin D. Roosevelt on August 14, 1935. The reason behind the act was to provide income for unemployed and retirement. Keynesian economics and deficit spending. These economic studies are presented by economics John Maynard Keynes in his book The General Theory of Employment, Interest, and Money, and in the view, in the short run, especially during recessions, economic output is strongly influenced by the aggregate demand. In the Keynesian view, aggregate demand does not necessarily equal the productive capacity of the economy. Instead, influenced by a host of factors, it sometimes behaves erratically, affecting production, employment, and inflation. Not that kind of tired inflation. The Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, established June 18, 1934. The Indian Reorganization Act was an attempt to make up for Indian suffering. Thank you, FDR in Congress. This included the reversal of the Dawes Act and the return to self-government. They didn't even have to follow the Constitution. And they did have rules in place, like they had to generally agree when trading, not like we do that today. Francis Perkins, Secretary of Labor. Francis Perkins was the 10th United States Secretary of Labor from 1935 to 1945, the longest serving in that position and the first woman appointed to the U.S. Cabinet. I know some of you are thinking that it's Mr. Perkins. No. As loyal supporter of her friend, FDR, she helped pull the labor movement into the New Deal coalition. She and Interior Secretary Harold L. Ikes were the only original members of the Roosevelt cabinet to remain in office for his entire presidency. During her term as Secretary of Labor, Perkins executed many aspects of the New Deal, including Civilian Conservation Corps, Public Works Administration, and its successor, that Federal Works Agency, and the labor portion of the National Industrial Recovery Act. She also supported the working class of the Social Security Act, which established unemployment benefits, pensions for many uncovered elderly Americans, and welfare for the poorest Americans. She pushed to reduce workplace accidents and help craft laws against child labor. Through the Fair Labor Standards Act, she established the first minimum wage and overtime laws for American workers and diffused a 40-hour work week. Thank you for the 40-hour work week, I like that. Butler versus U.S. The ruling of the Supreme Court on the process and taxes were seen in an unconstitutional form, the Industrial Agriculture Act. Dun dun dun! Mr. Green! What? I'm just busy trying to get an A here. Educate America about their history. You didn't see that, by the way. Why should I care about this? You'll see in a second, young Green. This is so important because certain parts of the Agriculture Adjustment Act was clashing with the Constitution. This act increased the prices of crops while discouraging farmers to actually farm. The processors were those taxed, and that would end up to the farmers. Court packing. On February 5th, 1937, President Roosevelt stated that the Supreme Court would grow in number to 15 judges. That was huge, but it's also good. Even though it was listed as controversial, Roosevelt felt working efficiency would increase. The term pack came from the controversy for creating greater numbers for the court. This would create proposals for the New Deal to pass. On April, the Senate took a stand, voting 70 to 72 in opposition to the plan. Poor FDR. Go back here, buddy. Let me give you a hug. Dorothea Lange, born as a second-generation immigrant on May 26, 1895, at 1401 Bloomfield Street, Hoboken. Sounds like Hadouken, but it's not. Hoboken, New Jersey, and educated at Columbia University, Dorothea Lange was an influential American documentary photographer and photojournalist, best known for Depression-era work for the Farm Security Administration, the FSA. Lange's photographs humanized consequences of the Great Depression and influenced the development of documented photography.